Hey everybody. Um, yeah, it's been a while. Um, so I don't mean to I don't want this to come off as like I'm like poking the shit or anything, but I was told a while ago. I had commented a while back on one of Music Biz Marty's videos a while back. I'm not sure. When was this? This was like at least several months ago. Um, it was while he was still doing a regular live stream, like almost at least like twice a week. We all look forward to it. Um, but on there, I had been reaching out to a lot of the other channels, like Based Shaman and a few of the other guys. I recently, so if you haven't recognized already, I came from IMVU back in the earlier days. For context, I'll show you my plate card. I've been here since 2013. So I don't know if you could see that. It doesn't look like it's showing up on my video, but I can include a screenshot or something edited into this video or something of that for you. But essentially, I've been around for a long time, and most of it has been spent in like the roleplay community. A lot of it being like D&D based. A lot of like very simple shit. Now I did spend some time in some markets here and there, but you know the time gets around. I didn't do anything too crazy around either. I was mostly just like a security kind of like just keeping things, you know people being respectful and stuff, more or less like a moderator, if you will. It was more of like a role play moderator. But that being said, of my time on IMVU, there was a short instance I had with an iconic character that we're all known and familiar with, and that would be Cyraxx. I I don't want to go like into like the deepest rant about this because again, I don't want it to seem like I'm touching the shit or anything, and I don't want it to seem like I'm grifting off of him or anything like that. I just think that it's worth another thing to be noted of just another thing to note his childish behavior, his antics, just Cyraxx being Cyraxx. I mean, so I'm gonna keep this very brief, because I essentially had a short interaction with him while his time was here on IMV, and I apologize for my squeaky chair, but essentially what it boiled down to was Cyraxx was involved in a role play community called the Death Family. I know, very original. It's probably one of the most original family names I think I've ever heard on IMVU. Uh, Total sarcasm, but regardless, um, I was actually part of a small group that was charged with working as bounty hunters for people that would get, I guess, a little bit of a reputation in the community. They'd be a little toxic here or there, and then in character, someone would be like, "Oh yeah, well I'm gonna put a bounty on your head," and well, if you can't tell by my credits up there, I was pretty successful. I think at my height I had probably like 2.5 million credits. Now, obviously, like it's not too much. It's nothing really to boast about. It was just maybe like 20 couple $100 worth of like gifts, but more or less like people paid me so I could earn my outfits and stuff, and I just wanted to get better gear and stuff, like different outfits and everything to wear um, for my characters. And so I was good at role playing, and people wanted to pay me to do it. So that being said, my interaction with Cyraxx was very brief. And I keep saying Cyraxx, but I knew him as Shadowblade back when he was still involved in this. And Shadowblade, aka Cyraxx, was in this family for a while, and he had developed a bit of a reputation. I'm sorry, in the fashion of more or less that yeah, you didn't want to talk to the guy. He was very toxic. A lot of people told me he had an attitude. Before I even met the guy, like just an attitude of his shit didn't stink. For where better term, lack of better term. He just had a general attitude, thought he knew everything. And even the people that tried to teach him, myself included, actually, offered to, dude, if you want to get better at like T1, which is like the standard for death matches, if you want to get better at it, I know people that can teach you. I myself was not even the best at it, you know, like I had to learn from a couple different people before I even got even remotely proficient in it. And that was over the course of 2 to 3 years, that I learned little bits and pieces that came to finally like bring together my art, I think, of my character, and developed a backstory and all kinds of other stuff into the character development arc. So, well, I'm sorry, I'm rambling on, but anyway, Cyraxx was working with this death family. I think he was involved in like he was somehow, I think, dating one of the people, like, because Death was known, this guy was a womanizer, he was a piece of shit himself. I could do a whole video on him himself, but the guy that role played as Death, he was just a total piece of shit, and he had like so many of these like quote unquote daughters. They were not daughters, I'll put it that way. I'm going to keep it as PG as possible, but yeah, very inappropriate with these people. Cyraxx, I think, like, kind of almost idolized him, saw him as like, wow, he's getting all these girls and everything. And so, like, I feel like Chance definitely was like, wow, enthralled with it, and then like just kind of latched onto it, because we can all tend to see that he does these things. Like he'll get like really into something and he'll like latch onto it full send. There's so many people that I've seen like through streaming over the years that like kind of adopt that moniker. But yeah, Chance is definitely one of those people that I've noticed that tends to do that. Anyway, getting back to like the timeline, Chance decided to like join up with the Death family, and I can't remember the exact specifics of like the whole circumstance, but essentially Chance came into one of the allied kingdoms that I worked with called Osawin. It was owned by a lady named Redvena. She's really into like dragons and stuff like that at the time. Again, really didn't get to know her. I think her name was Morgan or something like that. Just another client, you know, like to me they were all clients, people paying my way through here. And so I tried to keep it official and business friendly, and keep it as cordial as possible, you know, to keep that channel open, more or less. So what it boiled down to was he had ended up coming in, and I guess made an advance on one of the ladies in the room. They had told him, you know, no. He got really upset, became a womanizer. I wish I'd still had the official chat logs for these. I have the death match that we did, but it was, if you could even call it a death match, because he only posted like a very broken English, like attacks him and stabs him with his sword. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyway, so it ended up boiling up that like I ended up getting called. I got a message, as you see, like down there. I got my little friends list down below there. I got a notification up here in the corner, popped up. Ravenna sent me a message saying, hey, are you available for a contract? I said yes. She offered me, I think it was like 100,000 credits or something. It was very little, and I should specify at the time, like, I was getting paid an average of like 500k for like higher named tier 1 contracts. I literally took Chance as a pity contract, more or less, just because like I had told Ravenna like I could beat his ass with my eyes closed in roleplay. Like, you're practically handing me $10 is what I told her. And she said, I don't care, he disrespected one of my daughters, this and that, like, go beat his ass. And I was like, all right, you want his fucking head, I'll get it for you. Like, and so like I ended up going into the Death Kingdom, and I would be suspended from there like all the time. And I went in there and I said like, hey, I'm here. I think I brought one of my friends, C-Tree Dark Path, to the, is like I told him like, hey, he's a licensed tier 1 judge. Like, he's here with me. I'm here for that guy over there. And that's where I first encountered Shadowblade, aka Chance. And it, I wish that I would have recorded. Like, I wish like, had I known, like, years down the line that I would have been hearing about the same fucking goofball on the internet, that that it would have, like, developed into such a story, and that he would have been into this. And again, I don't want it to seem like I'm grifting or, like, trying to capitalize off of him being a lolcow and shit. I just think it's worth noting just another interaction of Chance acting like a giant man baby. And this was probably back when he was still in, like, his earlier years too. Like, I mean, before he, like, probably when he still even had a chance to, for lack of better words, like, had a chance to, like, get his life together. But essentially what it boils down to was Chance was said to me like, oh, well, I didn't do anything wrong. And we're like, well, I don't know. Like, Morgie said that she's upset with you and she wants your head. So, like, she paid me a contract for a DM, and, like, it's a death match, buddy. Like, you got, like, you said you were a role player. You said you weren't scared. Like, well, all right, let's put your money where your mouth is. And so it ended up that we went to a deathmatch room, a fight arena that we knew about here on the IMVU. It was like a public fight arena, and I essentially posted in my character bio, made an entrance post and everything, and said, okay, you make your post, like, I'll wait around. And average post time could, like, for a T1, which is usually multi-para, should be classified like is like T1 is like multiple paragraphs. Sometimes it's also referred to as like novella style roleplay. Each one can be like a page sometimes in like Microsoft Word. Some of the more proficient ones will even do longer than that. But an average would be like an average page size for a novella post. Explaining abilities, size, details like weight, height, class, all kinds of factors. Your like everything that you plan to use in the combat in roleplay, you have to address in your opening post. Like, you can't just like halfway through the fight just be like, oh, well, I pull out this amazing sword because it counters your shit perfectly. Like, no, you have to address that stuff in your opening post. Like, you have to say, like, you can't just be whipping abilities out of nowhere. You could state it in a way where it kind of like is almost disguised per se, but if someone is reading well enough, like taking the time to read, it has to be obvious enough that, like, if they read it, they could still be aware that that's like an ability. You can't just like outright deny abilities. So there's really a couple basic rules when it comes to roleplay, and I think most of us are familiar with this. If you've ever done things like GTA roleplay on 5M, or they still follow very simple basic rules of roleplay. And one of them being metagaming. You can't use stuff from out of character in character. It's a very simple rule, very easy to understand. If I told you, hey, my character has this really cool sword, out of character, and then in character, we've never met, you wouldn't know about that cool sword. You wouldn't know what those swords' abilities are. And vice versa, like when I'm posting in and explaining about what my sword's abilities and stuff are in that opening post, it doesn't automatically tell your character, oh, that's what that ability is. It's just stating for your knowledge as the out of character person what that sword's abilities can do, and that if you see it show up in combat, that I might make mention of it. If you get hit by it, I'm going to say, haha, you got hit by it and this and that, and explain the ability of it and the effect and how it's going to like affect you throughout the fight. Another rule that is like in the top 3, you cannot auto hit. You cannot automatically declare that something of an attack that you make would hit a target. So if I were to say, hey, I'm throwing shurikens at you at this angle, and this angle, and at this speed, and we are this distance from each other, that gives the opponent an ample reason, like a way to explain how they would dodge it or counter that attack. The whole premise of roleplay is to continue on the story, not so much win, but yes, the goal is to win, but it is to win by trapping your opponent with words, so to speak. You are trying to get them in a situation where they do not have a way to escape that situation and is forced to choose between multiple layers of hits. So, like, it would be not uncommon for a lot of role players to be making multiple attacks in one post and saying, like, okay, all these posts are coming at you and you have to decide how you're going to avoid them, and if based off of what you told me your character is capable of, can they avoid or counter this. So it's really like, you know, a game of chess, more or less. It's just another kind of mental game that you have to play, and it's more about like memory and stuff like that too. Like, can you remember what all the abilities are and stuff like that. Chance had none of that. Again, I posted in a very simple, I wanted to keep this as brief as possible for an explanation of like roleplay, but Chance did none of these things. When Chance posted in response to my character sheet, explaining, you know, like essentially like, you know, my character's abilities and all this and that, his response was, that's cool. And, like, he explained how badass his character was, and that he automatically attacks me and that he stabs me. And to which both me and the judge, my friend Citri, was like, okay, well, that's illegal. That's not a legitimate post, so you're going to have to rewrite that. If you fail to rewrite that, it's going to be a hit on his part, and he can choose to see how he hits you then, because he being me, that I would be able to essentially, since he failed at his opening post to like set up a defense or anything, to set up like, because I had stated essentially that I was getting ready to attack him, but I was not attacking, because you can't attack in a first post. As he was trying to write up his second post, we told him like, hey, also, like, that post was only 2 or 3 sentences. This is a novella. At the very least, it has to be a paragraph. Like, we're fighting T1. It has to at least be a paragraph. He had wrote 3 sentences explaining that he stabbed me or something, and said that he was like a badass or something like that, or whatever. And it was like a basic edgelord. It was a basic cringelord, like, he was a lot more powerful than people would let on, and this and that, like, just some fucking cringy bullshit. Essentially, he fucking went on and on about, oh, well, I'm gonna beat you, and this and that, and we're like, okay, cool, post back in. And when he posted again, it was another thing explaining about how he charged up an attack and then hit me with it. And again, declaring an auto hit, of which we had to tell him, like, okay, you get one more chance at this, and then if you fail to do this, like, he's going to kill you, because you have no way to defend against what he's coming at you with. If you keep posting like this, we might have to disqualify you outright and like just give you a death, like, because if you're failing to post on like opening post, then you're not gonna be able to really proficiently fight through an actual like T1 fight. So essentially it went on and on with this, of him just making these mock posts and making these terrible fucking, at one point he tried to tell us like, oh, well, I don't have to this and that, like, this is beneath me. And we're like, dude, you realize, like, we get paid per se to come in here and fight, right? Like, you realize, like, me and this dude get paid to fight people. Like, they pay us credits to fight. Like, we are, like, the textbook definition of professional to this. What is the definition of being a professional at something? And I think it's more or less being paid for your services in a certain skill. At least what I think is the definition of a professional. If you can get paid well enough that people are paying you to do these jobs, like, I'd say, okay, you're some level of a professional in it. You're not quite an average handyman anymore. So, that being said, you know, we were saying, hey, you know, we're not the average run of the mill Joe Schmo that you've been encountering. Like, we're here to collect. So, maybe you should take this a little bit more serious. And then he ultimately said, well, you guys could go fuck yourselves. Like, you guys are beneath me anyway, and you guys are a bunch of losers. And we were like, nah, dude, I think you have that wrong. Like, we get paid to do this, and you're sitting on here. So with that being said, if that's how you feel, like, you're gonna forfeit your post to, like, continue this match, is that how it's gonna go? And he said, yeah, fuck you guys, whatever. And then he raged out and left. Now, these other things I don't have, like, firsthand accounts with, but I did hear that for a short while after these instances, Shadowblade, aka Chance, was out continuing to trash talk on me at the time, saying, now my name at the time was Reitsu Magasai on here, and multiple instances of him being like, I'd go into different empires, like, looking for work and being like, hey, do you have any bounties? And they'd be like, wait, I've heard of your name. And I'm like, oh boy, how did you hear about me? And they're like, I don't know, this guy came in ranting about you, saying that you're a piece of shit and stuff. And I was like, was it this? And they're like, yeah, oh my god, it was Shadowblade. And I was like, oh my god, okay. And I'd have to show them, like, the explanations and everything. I'd call in, like, Satri and explain to him, like, yeah, Chance was just a real crybaby bitch, and that he got mad because we basically made him look like an idiot. Yeah, like I said, there's nothing too crazy to the story. I just honestly thought that, you know, somebody had said in the comments that they'd love to hear the story about Chance being a goofball here on some of his antics here on IMVU. Now, I don't have too many firsthand accounts, but this, like I said, my only real one that I would note would be the time that I deathmatched the dude. But I encountered him at least 2 or 3 times in Death's Empire, all of which were very unintelligible. Him just, you're a fucking troll, you're an idiot, like, whatever, you're just that, blah, blah, blah. And every time, like, I'd go in and I'd be like, your friend's gonna get his ass beat. Like, he's gonna fuck it. If he keeps running his mouth, like, people are just gonna put bounties on him, and then I'm gonna come in here and collect. And they were like, fuck you. We don't really roleplay like that anyway. And I'm like, okay, well, does it matter? Your kingdom's not really, like, everybody thought their kingdom was a joke anyway, for the most part. But, you know, like, this just made it that much worse that, like, Chance was involved with it. But, like, everyone hated that dude. So I don't know if he's ever mentioned his times on IMVU, but I want it stated for the sake of things. Chance was never welcomed here on IMVU. Like, Chance was always a social reject on here from his time that he was on Shadowblade. Everyone always thought he was really cringy. They thought he was, like, strange with women and shit like that, because he would always get immediately flirtatious with girls and stuff like that. And anytime that he would, like, look on a profile card and see that that person was a female and single, he would be immediately up in their business and, like, had no chill. Had no concept that this was not, like, Meet Me or something like that. This is not, like, they do have, like, a dating thing on here, but it is not first and foremost a dating app. So, like, most people were like, what the fuck, dude? It's just really inappropriate. So, I don't know. Like I said, I just thought I'd come on here and just kind of share my story about Cyraxx and the time that this motherfucker encountered me. And yeah, dude, it was just a very weird interaction all around. Like, I don't think that he was the brightest crayon in the box. He did not listen to any kind of reason. So again, I wanted to preface of, like, I'm not here to touch the shit. I don't want Chance Chance, if you are listening to this in any way in the future, you're a fucking garbage can, dude. Like, you need to figure some shit out. Like, I don't even have everything going together on in my life, but brother, you've never had an actual job in your life. Your music is a fucking joke. The fact that you claim that you even remotely came close to Chester Bennington's Scream record is an absolute hilarious level of bullshit that I don't think anybody could ever top. You have deluded yourself into this crazy sense of reality, man, and you need help. You need to get away from Sally and Ed and give them some peace, because like. The fact that they have not kicked you out yet is beyond me. Like, no, I hope the homeless arc gets here sooner than later, brother. Like, I really do. I hope that you are out on the streets within like this next year, just for a reality check. I really hope so. I don't wish this level of misfortune on anybody, but I genuinely hope that you fail. Yeah, I can't come up with anything else that I really wanted to get out in this. If you guys enjoyed this video, though, I appreciate you stopping by and checking out on my channel. I don't really upload that much, but I'm gonna try and get a few more uploads here coming up soon. I've got a few more projects in the works that I'm trying to get together, but right now, like as I said, I'm still trying to get my life together, you know. And to those who have subscribed and stuff, and who will subscribe, I appreciate you guys. But yeah, I think we can all basically say, though, we are all unified in the fuck Chance movement, and fuck Cyraxx movement. So again, I hope it doesn't come off as like I'm trying to grift on his stupidity, him just being an idiot, because we all know he is. But I just thought that, again, it was said on one of Marty's streams like a while back. I had mentioned something on the comment section of who would like to hear the story about Chance on IMVU, and a few people upvoted it. So not too many, but I'm sure some people might be interested in hearing the antics from Chance. And if you liked hearing my crazy ramblings and shit too, hey, I appreciate it. But not all these videos are going to involve anything with like IMVU or whatever, but I just felt like this kind of matched the vibe, considering the fact that we were talking about my time as like here on role-playing. I haven't done role-playing on IMVU since back in like 2015 was the year that I basically retired from that stuff. I used to run a group called Empire of Infinite Realities. We had a small collection of bounty hunters, essentially. We really just kind of worked together to kind of clean up the community, I think. I'm not sure if we, quote-unquote, really did that. Most people would claim that we ourselves were actually very toxic. I think we were more sticklers for the rules than most people. We kind of held people to a higher standard, I think, especially when so many people would claim that they were involved in the art that we saw it as, and being like, oh, well, we're deathmatch fighters and stuff too. And we're like, okay, bro, whatever. So anyway, I'm getting off subject. So thanks for listening, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, and give me a subscription if you want to see more of my content. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you guys in the next video that I do. So peace out.